I just want to welcome everyone. This is a wonderful opportunity to learn, to meet new people, to meet new creators, and to really get into the nitty-gritty of the industry and learn so much. So, of course, we are having our first panel today, and I want to welcome you all. We are going to be talking about social media creators. We're having a panel with two lovely creators I'll introduce you to in a second, and we're going to get into all the nuts and bolts of how to grow your social media, how they did it, all the tips and tricks we can learn. And we have to acknowledge that social media has changed the way we communicate. It has changed the way that we report news. It has changed the way that people have voices. And so in that, we also have to acknowledge that it has become a role. It has become a job. Content creation is not something people do on the side necessarily just alone anymore. It has definitely become something that we all participate in, whether we like it or not. So it's here to stay. And whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever else is coming next in social media, because there will be more. Our panelists are going to share their strategies, their lessons, their behind the scenes realities of building their audience, and so much more, mastering platforms. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce them. I'm going to move over here. And first, we have Tony Neville. So if you're not already following Tony, he's probably popped up on your Instagram at some point or your TikTok. When you see him, you're going to be like, oh, that guy. Okay. So he is a Raleigh-based comedian, actor, content creator, known for his viral character skits that are hilarious. And he has a loyal following from A-list celebrities all the way to everyday fans. And then his work is, again, on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. It has earned him national recognition. And so he's had partnerships with Disney, Nike, Pepsi, Spotify, and many more. And today he's all ours for the next hour. So let's take a quick look at some of his work.
Hey Tony TV Neville is a comedian, actor, and content creator residing in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Los Angeles. With his cult-like following from A-list celebrities to everyday people, Tony's content is amongst the top shared and followed creator year after year. Tony's social media channels have surpassed 6 million followers and are filled with relatable and creative character skits, which have skyrocketed him to national fame. Recent campaigns include Disney, PepsiCo, Live Nation, Liquid Death, Carolina Days, NAACP, ACLU, Old Spice, ABC, Nike, Spotify, and Fenty.
All right, guys, so let's welcome Tony. And that's awesome. Y'all say, oh, that guy. We know Tony. All right. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. And then our second panelist for today is Nate Norell. And Nate is a multifaceted creative known for blending sharp storytelling with innovative content across digital platforms. You've probably seen some of his work too. You might not know it's his, but you're about to know in a second. And he has a growing online presence with a distinct voice. Nate engages audiences through humor, insight, and authenticity, whether he's behind the camera or in front of it. And a quick fact for you, the actually most viewed TikTok of all time, which I think is 2.3 billion views at this point, he actually shot that in conjunction with another creator. So Nate is here. He'll probably tell us a little about that in a second, but Nate is here as well. Let's just take a look at some of his work before he comes on.
Aliens.
UFO detected.
Come on, man! Dorito. Yeah!
All right, guys, and let's welcome Nate. All right. Thanks, guys, for being here. Of course, like I said, two amazing content creators to learn from. But we're going to start with the basics here. So for both of you, what inspired you to just even start creating content? And I'll start here with Tony, your closest.
Gosh. Hello, Sanity.
Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. I started in theater as a kid. I was a theater kid, and I loved being able to feel like I can be myself and also be other characters. And so in college, I joined the theater program as well as in high school. I did a couple of shows, and then college got a little bit too expensive, and I curated this fan base of people based off of what I did in theater. And then I also was the first Black freshman to create my own comedy club at my school. It was a PWI. And everybody was like, well, what are you going to do next? Like, what's happening? Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to watch your show somewhere else? Are you joining like a comedy club, like locally? And so this was like the rise of social media comedy, like everything on Instagram for like 30 seconds. And I would just like create stuff and just put it on Instagram and Facebook at the time. And then TikTok came around, and I just threw all my stuff on TikTok and started creating there. And lo and behold, I am 6 million followers deep and traveling the world thanks to that. So that's kind of how I got my start.
Yeah, that's awesome. For me, I was going into film. I would never thought I was going to do social media, be a content creator. That was not my journey. I was kind of more going towards like filmmaking and documentary. But I went to Biola University, which is located towards La Mirada, and Zach King had actually been an alumni there. If you guys know Zach King, he's one of the biggest creators as well. Does a lot of magic videos. And I got roped into his basically like studio. Like I met a friend who was like, hey, we need someone on set. From working on sets to interning to becoming his right-hand man, camera guy, videographer, to producer, to director. I did that for 5 years. And as I was working alongside him, I went from knowing about filmmaking to having to understand social media pretty well if I was going to be working at a studio about social media. And as I did that, I kind of started testing out TikTok back in December of 2018 when like it still wasn't popular. And I got on there pretty early, and that kind of helped me blow up pretty fast. But I wasn't consistent because I was still pretty shy. I didn't want to be on camera, like pop off, and then I'd like disappear for like 4 to 8 months. And that was a whole process for myself. But basically being around people that did content and trying to test out my own stuff while I still had a job, over time, the following became so big that I couldn't ignore that there's something here and that I should take the risk and invest in myself and give myself a try. So I quit working with Zach. We're still great friends. Love the man. Quit 2 years ago and then pursued full-time content creation. And it's been, again, just like you, a wild journey. It's been incredible.
All right. And so you mentioned that you started posting first to Instagram and then Facebook at the time. And then you mentioned you started kind of experimenting with TikTok. But given that all of these platforms are now so popular and have so much reach, how did you decide which platforms to focus on or how to do that?
I think it was just setting the foundation. I started on Facebook, honestly. And from there, I just created a foundation of a community of people who, no matter what app I was going to, they were going to watch and follow. So it went from there. And then I started on Instagram. And then TikTok came around, and TikTok was like the HBAC of the time, the I don't want to say it out loud, but you know, the head app in charge. So I was like, okay, I'm a prioritize TikTok because everybody's using TikTok and it's going viral, and it makes sense for me to put my content here. And from there, it just grew and grew and grew to the point where I was like, okay, yeah, TikTok is kind of the app that I need to be prioritizing more. And then also, like, a lot of brands also look at your TikTok before they look at your Instagram and Facebook. Half the time, Facebook is obsolete to a brand anyway, which is unfortunate because Facebook is a really good app. But that's kind of how I started prioritizing my apps, was TikTok first, Instagram, YouTube, and everything else after that.
For me, it was TikTok because, again, I kind of had caught it early. Again, when it was still like cringe, there was a season where we're like, oh, this is just like weird and cringe. And then it became mainstream. I caught it early and it was kind of like, okay, like what I was doing, I was watching YouTube videos and people were like mocking TikTok, but everyone in the comments were like supporting TikTok. And I was like, okay, there's people speaking. I want to keep my ear to the ground. So as I studied it, I started applying myself to it and blew up through it. So I'll say TikTok is, but my advice to anyone, if you're also looking for advice, is just post everywhere. You never know what will hit. I'll talk to different creators, be like, my thing's Instagram, my thing's Facebook, my thing's LinkedIn. Like, for crying out loud, like, everyone has their platform. So don't shy away. I know it takes extra work. We just need to discipline ourselves. I need to discipline myself to post across everything. But that is my one biggest regret as a creator, is not reposting my stuff on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. I should have been so much more proactive. But for me, my journey has been TikTok, and then it's led into Instagram. And I think people agree on TikTok it's easier because at first not a lot of people have it, and I feel like you can do it without the friends and family watching. A lot of people have a hard time posting and being seen. So TikTok usually seems to be a great first platform. But that was my platform and still is for me.
Awesome. Okay. And then in terms of the audience, a lot of people, I think, are starting from scratch or wanting to know how they can kind of grow this audience. And I know you mentioned that, it kind of like you looked overnight and there were 6 million followers. But what would your advice be to people trying to build their audience from scratch and start their Instagrams, TikToks, LinkedIn's maybe from scratch?
Build a community first. I think having a community is so important. I started posting my content 2015, and a few videos went viral, and then there were a few that I was kind of like, okay, maybe I need to look back on this and try again. But I built that community, and I started on one app. I started on Facebook, and that to me is the biggest community that I have. And then from there, I just took that community and migrated to Instagram. And then once I built that community on Instagram, TikTok came along, and I migrated my community from Instagram to TikTok. And so now it's kind of all in one big melting pot. So it definitely start with one app. Don't try to, because if you do try to build a community on all these apps that we have now, it's going to be stressful. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be stressed out trying to figure out what the H is going on right now. But I recommend start one app. Whichever app is the one that you want to prioritize first, which I recommend TikTok because things happen a little bit faster on TikTok. Build a community of followers and fans, and then grow from there.
That's actually incredible advice. That's awesome. For me, I'm just browsing. I'm like, oh, that's really good.
I've been in the game since 2016.
I know. I'm like, wow, that's actually really key. My advice for someone starting out, again, this is going to sound so corny, but bear with me. It's just start. And that truly is people's biggest hurdle is oh, I want to get into it. It's I talk to friends come to me and they go, hey, I want to start. What I do? I'm like, well, when are you going to post? It's I have this idea and it's really cool. And I'm telling you because I want you to keep me accountable. I'm like, sweet. So 3 days from now, post it. And they're like, dude, I can't and I'm like, it's literally a TikTok, bro. You have the idea. It's well, what if what time do I post? I'm like, again, this is part of the process. There are going to be what people deem as failures. I don't deem as failures. I deem everything as a stepping stone closer to the finish line, right? So if posting a video doesn't do well, why do we consider that a failure? It shouldn't be a failure. It should be, hey, I'm getting closer to figuring out what does well, what my voice is, what people like. You always learn. And so it's always good to hear from people that have gone before, kind of like us, and be like, okay, what works and what doesn't? But at some point, you got to stop receiving all the information and just go out there and do it yourself. So my biggest advice is just start.
I know each of us has a friend that has been threatening to post content for 6 months now and hasn't done it. If it's you, you know what to do after this. Okay, you heard that. But we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the A word, which is the algorithm. You're like, what is the A word? Which is the algorithm, because I think that's the thing that a lot of people are, confused about or wondering, how does this work? So how do you stay on top of that algorithm? What does the algorithm even mean to you guys?
It is tough because the algorithm is an ever-changing thing. 1 minute your algorithm can have you on top, and then the next thing you know, you're at the bottom, or sometimes you're seeing content that's similar to yours, and the next day you're seeing a whole bunch of cats and dogs, and it's why am I I don't even have a cat or a dog. Why am I watching a bunch of videos about cat and dogs? So the algorithm is just so up and down sometimes. And I remember when I first started, it was oh, I would get this many views, and then the next thing you know, I post a video the next week and it would get fewer views than that. And I'd be thinking to myself, what is going on with this algorithm? I feel as creators, we love to try to blame the algorithm, but I feel now in my career, I don't really care about the algorithm anymore. I feel it's more so about the work that I'm putting in and what's being received outside of the app. So once you start, you're going to, because everybody gets that, oh my God, the algorithm is pushing me out and putting everybody. you just can't think like that. Just be like, you know what? This video did great. This video might not do great tomorrow, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep posting. It's very up and down, which is hard to like digest. But you get to a point where you just like, I don't give a damn about this algorithm, child. I got something to do in LA, and I'm gonna go have fun with my friends and just vibe and make another video next week, and everything will be fine. So, it's definitely a tricky thing, but you just gotta just zone out that noise of the algorithm.
Yeah, I think the algorithm, it's a loaded question because I think depending on the season of where you're at in a creator, the algorithm is different. Like when you're starting off, it feels like the boss who's not paying you for all the work you're doing, and you're like, oh man, this sucks. But once you have found the groove, kind of like Tony was saying, where it's like you can't have it be your boss anymore. You're the boss, and it's like, hey, I'm just gonna play the game of showing up to work, being consistent, posting the content. And some days it does well, some days it doesn't. And you do the best you can of like posting times and whatnot, hashtags and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you have to post and be consistent instead of wait for perfection or what did I do wrong and just realize maybe it just didn't hit, maybe it wasn't as good an idea, and that's okay because I love the game. It's not that the game was just one video, it was the lifestyle of creating content to do it for everything. That's a reality also for people to understand is when you're a content creator, people think it's like, oh, I just post one video and my life has changed forever. It's like, no. Like you have to be in love with creating content. Like Tony, his content, he loves making comedy videos. Like when you saw his like reel up there, he's just doing all these characters and everything. It's like you gotta love it and be like, hey, some days it'll hit, some days it won't. Maybe something that I found funny, someone else didn't. And that's okay because at the end of the day, I find it funny and this is my work and I want to post it. And that's the journey of anyone doing art. They have to put themselves out there and stand by it. So the algorithm is many things in different seasons. So yeah.
And then part of that algorithm, of course, is these trends. So we've seen them on TikTok. A while ago, I was asking you if there's a TikTok dance for the Sabrina Carpenter song, because I don't know. But there are all these different trends that come about. Do you feel like you need to feed in to all of those trends, or how do you stay on top of, kind of going with what is popular without losing yourself and losing your authenticity in that?
Yeah, hey, for sure. I'm going to be honest. I'm a huge fan of trends. I mean, that's literally what got me to 6 million followers. Straight up. I think there's multiple ways to view this. I'm trying to say as fast as possible, but there are people that want to just be trend people. They just do trend videos. There's people that have their voice, say they have a plant shop, and that's their content. And they're trying to talk about plants in like a Discovery Channel type aspect, and they never participate with trends. And then there's the perfect middle that I say is where it's your voice mixed with trends. Again, depending on what you want to do. I always talk to people like, oh, I have a plant shop, or oh, I talk about cars. I always say, no matter what it is, you can make your content mixed with trends. You don't have to do every video a trend video, but like, say there's a Sabrina Carpenter audio. You can do that while showcasing something. If it's a trend of, I'm trying to think of some trends that happened recently, but if you just break it down and be like, okay, here's a trend about, there was once a trend about a bowl of strawberries with chocolate drills on it, and it got like 34 million views. Don't ask me why, but that's the internet. And my filmmaker friends are like, oh, how do I be a part of it? It's like, well, put yourself holding like most camera gear as like a film director and be like, if a film director shot this trend. Boom, there's so many ways you can mix yourself in with trends. And for me, that's why I blew up to 6 million, because trends is just another word for this is what the majority of people are liking. If you see a video that has 3 million people, 3 million likes, that's 3 million individuals that said, I want to double tap this. There's something there to be like taken in. And so that's what I did. I would study every video. If I didn't understand a video and it had 3 million, I'm like, what am I not getting? Because obviously there's something here I'm not getting. I would try to understand it. And I would just have like a repertoire of just like information of viral videos. And then I would do trends that, again, I thought would feed into like what I think would be funny. I mean, I would never do a dance trend. I'm not against dance trends. It just wasn't my thing. But that was just one thing I just didn't do. I didn't do dance trends, but I would do anything about like, I'm trying to figure out trends. I'm just talking too much. But basically, trends are not your enemy. If anything, they're a way to get in with the social media culture and what people are talking about during this week, and also really motivates you to make content this week about that trend, because again, within 2 to 3 weeks, the trends are gone. So if it drives you crazy trends, then yeah, have your own voice, but don't be afraid to have your voice mixed with the trend that can amplify and bring a new set of audience into eyeballs onto whatever your voice is.
Thank you. I'm not a dancer either, so I don't do any of the TikTok dances. I got 2 left feet. But I love the trends because, like you said, it's about creating yourself in that trend. And typically that's what I like to do with what's trending right now or what's happening in the moment is, okay, how can I take this trend and migrate it into my content for it to make sense for me and my community and my audience that's going to watch my TikTok or Instagram reel about this trend? How can I make it funny? How can I make it last for a minute and 1 second so I can get paid? What can I do with this trend that's going to work? And sometimes it doesn't always work. I know whenever I did something with my friends and they were like, oh yeah, let's do like this TikTok sound and do this dance. Again, I don't know how to dance, but I'm with my friends and I'm like, cool. And we do it and I post it. You might get like a couple hundred views and people will be like, oh, cute, haha. And I just have to respond to it because I'm like, well, they're like the only 5 people commenting on this right now. So obviously they know that I see their comment. Let me respond back to it. So, it's just what works for you and what doesn't. And there's so many trends happening right now. Even as we speak, there's a trend probably happening on TikTok right now that we don't even know about. So it's just about migrating that into your content and making it work for you and the people that are going to be viewing your content.
All right, so we're going to have a TikTok dance party after this because I don't dance either. So
I'm going to be sitting all the way. I'm going to be in a corner in the back of the video. You might see my arm, but yeah.
All right. Question for you guys. Have you had a piece of content go viral that you just didn't expect it to? Something that blew up and, why did it surprise you? And what was that piece of content?
Ooh, I have to think back because I do so many videos. I think the one that surprised me the most, and this happened in 2019, I think. I did If Tony Braxton sung Act Up by the City Girls. And I was just like, I can do a really good Tony Braxton impersonation. So I was like, let me see what happens if I do this and see if I post it. And it ended up getting like 5 million views on Facebook, 12 million views on Instagram. And at the time, TikTok wasn't around. And I was just like, oh, maybe I should start doing like If Tony Braxton, like, let me throw my Tony Braxton voice on and sing some songs. But that really surprised me because I didn't think that. I just posted it one day and I was like, haha, this is funny. And maybe people will laugh at it. And then the next thing you know, I woke up and it was at like 6 million views on Instagram and still being shared. So I was very surprised. And I think Tamar Braxton reposted it. I haven't met Tony Braxton. I'm a little bit scared because I know she doesn't like when people impersonate her. But if I do, I'm going to be like, listen, it was just a joke. Like, please don't beat me up, Tony, please. I know you're from Baltimore, baby. Don't beat me up.
I would say for me, it was probably my first video that kind of put me on the map with TikTok. It was a parody video of the thriller film It, the clown in the gutter. And so me and my college friends, we would make, this is before TikTok, we would just make videos as like a house, and do like parody since we're all film majors. And one of those was a scene of like me being in the gutter, painted as a clown. People were like, how'd you get in the gutter? We just did. We just got in the gutter. And then I was also the kid with like the yellow jacket. And we shot that for a video for YouTube. Didn't do well, but it was just fun to make. And then again, a year or two later, It 2 was coming out. And I was like, what if I like just repurpose that like scene, expand on it? We didn't use all the clips. Let me just do the full like comedy skit for that and then turn it vertical. Luckily we shot it like in 4K on like a red. So it's like, let's just turn it vertical. And I just like stayed up all night because like it just like hit like the TikTok algorithms, like the movie's coming out, like post your content. Back when they were like trying to get people to post content, they would be more adamant, like please post about it, And so I just like posted it. And the video hit within like the first week. I think it was like 2 to 3 million likes, which for me as like a not big content creator, I think I had like 166,000 followers. It brought my following from 166,000 to 800,000 by the end of like a week and a half or 2 weeks. Because we were just like, I thought this was the actual trailer. And then literally 95 of the comments were, how'd you get in the gutter? How'd you get in the gutter? And I'm like, how'd you get in the gutter? I'm like, I just got in there, guys. And so, which is actually pretty nice. It was like cleaned out. I don't know. It was a nice gutter. I understand Pennywise now. It was pretty nice. But yeah, so that for me was the biggest shock and biggest moment of just like, whoa, this is, and that's like, again, what Tony, I want to like input in you guys is like, be encouraged that you never know what video is going to be the video because that wasn't my first video, by the way. That was like video 30 or 40. Like I remember before that, I was like, oh, I just need to be consistent. So I'd post like a video every 2 days or 3 days. And I'm gonna be honest, the 7 or 8 videos before that one were getting like 300 likes and stopping there. And there was some point I was like, do I like private these? Do I delete these? And I was like, no. I believe in these. I think these are good. I actually put effort into them. They weren't like not thought out. They were good. It just didn't hit, and that's fine, but I stand by it. And once the bigger video popped off, each one of those videos had like 30,000 likes. Like it just all like popped off. So like, again, just believe in the long game, believe in yourself, and just be consistent.
I still have a lot of questions about the gutter, but I'll save those. I'll save those for after. Speaking of this, we're going to get kind of into the nitty gritty of actual content creation, but do you guys, especially at the stage that you are now, test content just to see if something new will work with your audiences or what is resonating with people? So you purposely do that at this point?
Yes, because you always, as a creator, it's like you want to continue to create, but you always want to do something very different. And in the back of my mind, I was like, God, what can I do next that I feel like is going to be very different and edgy and fun to do? Because you do the same thing over and over and over. You kind of get tired of doing it. And I don't want to get tired of doing this because this is what I love. So sometimes I like to test the waters and see what people like, what people don't like. And it's all about pivoting as a creator, because there was a moment in my life where I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. And I got this like creator's block, which does happen. It's like, I want to create, but I don't know what to create anymore because I feel like I've done everything. And I just sat there for like a month and I was like, okay, I got these ideas. I want to create them. Let me create them. Let me see the type of responses. If it don't work out and I get unfollowed and I get 10 likes and everybody be like, go back to your old content, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But if not, and people enjoy it, I'm going to keep going. And sometimes, again, it's all about blocking out the noise. If you're really passionate about something and then that's different from what you're normally doing, then do it. It's gonna hurt a little bit, I promise you. I remember I was looking at the numbers go down and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to go back to serving tables, child. It's looking like serving tables again. I don't know. But then it picked back up for me. And then I ended up gaining a brand new fan base. And then that fan base grew. And then the same fans that were still there kind of stuck around. I was like, okay, well, let me see. I didn't like it at first, but now it's kind of getting a little funny. Let me keep watching. So it's definitely a challenge for sure. But definitely test out those new ideas, because you never know who might be like, I love this, and this is the reason why I'm gonna follow this person, and then you can grow from there.
Yeah, I think testing is one, as creators and as humans who are complex and always are interested in different things, especially artists. I feel like trying new things is always good, especially if you haven't hit something yet. Like if you're trying to see like what works for you, what you enjoy making, what works for the audience. But I believe like what you were saying is after you're developed, right, to test new things, it's a little bit risky, but at the end of the day, it's like, what do you want to do with your life? You know, what do you want to do with your time? There are very few moments that I will talk to a creator and they'll be like, man, I just feel so stuck in this version of content. And now this is my full brand and I can't pivot. But man, we see people pivot all the time. You know, you see TikTokers who are now doing music full time. Again, their journey has been different and they've had a lot of like tools, but I'm just saying like at the end of the day, like, you have to stand by what you believe. You have to stand by what you want. And again, it's just like if you have a job, like, do you want to stick at a job because, you know, the paycheck and it's like, I just don't want to like risk it to go somewhere else? Or is it like, are you going to like believe in yourself and like make that leap? Again, do it wisely. You know, everyone's different. Like keep a job while you're pursuing TikTok. And there's that whole conversation. I'm not saying like be unwise, but as my dad would say, take calculated risks. So, if you need to keep the content going to kind of solidify the audience more, to then pivot, sweet. If you need to make your content and be always hinting like, hey, I'm dropping music or whatever that next piece of content is or next journey is, you'll find more than likely the internet can be mean, but I like to believe the internet can actually be really nice. And it's a community of people that are just like us in this room that just want to see other people succeed. And so if you are able to give people laugh, entertainment, and education or value in some way, when they hear about this new endeavor you're going to do, they're going to be stoked about it because they're stoked about you. They're more following you as the person, not the content specifically. So again, it depends. I have to speak to someone individually, feel like what their situation is to give the specific advice. But in general, I would say, like Tony said, take that leap because you have to as a creative.
And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what makes a strong hook for short form content? If there is even kind of you had to put it into a bottle or say there's some kind of rhythm for it, what makes that strong hook?
Top 5 ways to go viral. No, I mean, what makes a strong hook? There's so many like courses out there that I mean, there's probably like 100 different phrases. I mean, it's like either starting with a question, it's starting with a fact, starting with something. Again, I would say you have basically, sadly, 2 seconds to capture people's attention. And so my biggest advice when I talk to people about content, don't do this. Don't go, you swipe and then it's like, hey, what's up, guys? My name's Nate Norell. And, I was thinking, boom, who's sticking around for that? You're already bored. Like, what's going on? But if you swipe down, like, you're going to learn 3 ways that you can go viral today. Who's not sticking around to the end to hear that? Like, so if you can able to get their attention, make it entertaining, give it the energy. I see so many of my friends that start vlogging for YouTube, which again, that's a whole nother conversation. But they'll be like, hey guys, so, we're right. I'm like, cut out all that in between, edit it. I'll be like, hey guys, so we're driving to, even if you talk slow, you can always edit it where you're cutting out those middle ums and breaks and everything. So I feel like we are in a quick generation, but for good reason, where it's like at the end of the day, when you blame the algorithm, like, oh, it didn't blow up and I thought it was, 2 things. 1, either you got it wrong, or 2, it also just like the audience just didn't find it the way that you did, right? So sometimes even when I tell people to post something, it does poorly, it's like, okay, try to find a different way to present that. Like start it a new way or recut it or do something different. And at the end of the day, if you post like 4 times and it doesn't do well, move on to the next idea. But I think you can find online a lot of tips and tricks. But again, it's providing value, whether it's entertainment or education, and you have to be quick with it. Don't do too much about introducing yourself. They will get to know you by hearing what you have to say.
It's very different over here for me. That's amazing because I'm thinking about going into lifestyle, but I'm like, how can I do lifestyle? I don't understand. Like, do I sit in front of the camera just like, hey guys, what's up? It's Tony. So let me tell you what I'm going to do today. Let me this is water. It's $500. You can get it from Target. Sponsor me. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, link in bio. But no, I think for me, it's all about, there are 3 things that I keep in mind, especially with my content. What kind of wig am I wearing that day? Like, am I wearing a crazy wig? Am I going to wear a wig that somebody's going to stop and be like, what the hell? How did you even get this type of wig? The overlay text. The overlay text is very important because when you're scrolling through TikTok or Instagram and you see they have the text on screen, it's like POV going to the grocery store with your mom, or POV spending time with that one friend who talks too much, or POV this. Like, people are going to read that and stick around for a little bit to see if they can relate to it, because most of the time when you look at those overlay texts, we all can relate to it. And then for me now, in the beginning, it was like, where is the walkie-talkie and the keys sound going to be? Now is, where am I going to place this grunt? Because everybody wants to know where this grunt, and what word am I going to put it in? So those are the 3 things that I keep in mind that I know are going to capture people's attention, especially for short form content, because it just happens so fast. And if it's not capturing their attention within, like you said, 2 seconds, they're just going to swipe up and go to the next video. So the key things to keep in mind is like, what's exciting, the overlay text, and where your signature is going to be. So now it's kind of just here, there, and everywhere that I get to do that. But I always keep those 3 at the top of mind when I'm creating. So that way I know people are going to watch it. I don't want y'all to just keep swiping up. I need to, hey, enjoy it. But yeah.
Really quick, a quick exercise for you to even self-analyze yourself, because we're all saying we're all humans, right? You're going to scroll through TikTok or whatever social media you use, and actually start analyzing yourself as you're scrolling and be like, why did I stop at that video? Like, for real. Like, one time I was watching a video and I'm 30 seconds in, I'm glued, and I'm like, why am I still glued to this video? What voodoo? What did it do to keep me here, right? So I go back and watch it. And I'm like, oh, like they said this question, which made me think about this and whatnot. So quick, if you're always wondering what are good hooks, just always learn from other people. Learn from videos that went viral. Learn from videos that you enjoy watching that caught your attention. Be like, okay, what did they do well that I can start keeping together? So when I make my videos, I can base it off of that.
And then you mentioned the overlay text is something that's important for you, but how important in general is kind of the other stuff? So the caption, the thumbnail, just even the music that you might use, all those little other details that you see, especially all these new features that are coming out, both on Instagram and TikTok. How important are those extra features?
Very important, especially depending on the video, because I love to have like background music to kind of match the setting and the tone of what's happening in the video. Of course, make sure it's an instrumental or commercial free because they will strike you down for it. But I love to make sure that there's some kind of sound there, because when you're just listening to somebody, like my type of content, I can't watch that and just be like, I like this. It's got to be something in the background, like a background noise to keep the momentum going. And the caption is very important too, because again, they're reading the overlay text. And then once they get down to the caption, it's like, oh, okay, I have been through this. And then from the caption starts the conversation in the comments. And then that's when everybody starts responding, like, yeah, this is my mom, or this is my cousin, or this literally just happened to me today. So all of those things are very important to keep the entertainer entertained. Well, the entertainee, I think, right? Entertained. And from there, it starts the conversation. I love having videos that start a conversation because you get to read the comments, and the comments are just as funny as the video. I promise y'all. If y'all ever look at some TikTok comments, I be in the comment section weak, but that's where the conversation starts, right after the caption.
I'm so sorry. Can you say the question again? I got lost in what you were saying. I was like, I forgot the question.
No problem. I'm just wondering how important the extra stuff is. So the caption that you have, the music that you're using, the thumbnail, even
For sure.
For how important is that?
Depends on the platform. Again, I have this conversation because YouTube is a whole different beast. It's all about, like, Mr. Beast, he makes his content solely based off, is the title viral and is the thumbnail. That's how they start their ideas, is title and thumbnail. That's how they start there. They don't think about an idea and try to make it. They're like, if it's not going to be a capturing title that's really cool or a cool thumbnail, we're not going to make the video. That's how they base everything off YouTube. And when it comes to social media, on TikTok, I never even have to worry about the thumbnail because no one's really going to scroll. I'm always based off what's going to go viral today, what's going to be like something that's catching the algorithm / For You page. That's what I'm banking on. It's very rarely that I feel like, at least for me, my audience, where people are like going back and watching for the thumbnail. So I don't have to overthink. Sometimes for social media, it's easier for the vertical aspect. So I would say it depends per idea. Like some ideas are, hey guys, this is a day in my life, and you just have some background music so it's not boring. But then sound effects are key. Again, it depends on the trend. So I don't have a great answer. I think Tony's was the best, to be honest, but I think it really depends on what platform. But again, the details do matter. Don't overthink it to the point that you're not posting in a timely manner, but just don't also not give it time, if that makes sense. Like the extra 10% sometimes goes a long way, but at the end of the day, just post it.
And I feel like this might be maybe different or the same for both of you, but I'm curious to know, do you plan your content? I know you clearly have to think about the wigs, think about the, that kind of thing, but are you planning content ahead of time and planning your posting schedule, or is it more spontaneous?
I'm very spontaneous, and this shocks a lot of people because they think that I do, but I don't. I don't write anything down. Everything happens at the right here. Sometimes when I'm just like walking around the house, or if I'm watching TV and something's really funny, and I'm like, I can create that. I think I got in this catalog of wigs in my closet a wig that's similar to this TV show that I'm watching. Let me go and create that. And then from there, I just, in my mind, put exactly how the skit is going to be. And then I put that phone on record and just do it. I edit everything by myself. I post everything on all 10 apps that we have nowadays by myself. I don't like to think. And that's really, that being a creator, I like to just not think. I'd rather just do it and see what happens. And that's what I've loved. And I think that's why people enjoy my content, because it's like, you can tell it's just authentic. I just put the camera up and just say what I say and don't even try. And I would rather do that than to look at if I'm trying to be an actor, yes, I'm looking at a script. But for my own content, I just like to just do it. Like, I don't want to have to plan anything out. I don't want to have to call a school and be like, hey, can I book this classroom for an hour? I just show up with my wigs and my luggage and see if they let me in. And most of the time they do, because they don't got nothing else to do after 3:00 except for grade papers. So I just like to just do it. That's always been my thing, is to just do it.
Wow. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world of creators, be a Tony. Be a Tony. I am jealous of you because I wish I had that same, and I'm trying to get on that same level of just like creating, because you're going to be in this game. Again, the consistency, the not overthinking, it's you just got to like have an idea and go and create it. Don't be like, okay, how do I over perfect it? Because by 2 weeks from now, it's probably not funny anymore. Or someone else came up with the idea as well, and they posted it. So that is very key. What Tony said is just creating. For me, my journey was very different. It was slow. I had a hard time. Funny enough, I just didn't enjoy being in front of the camera or the idea of like being too public. For me, at a point, that was the case. So I would post, my video would blow up, and then I'd be like, well, goodbye. And I'd disappear for like 5 months and go back to work. And I was like, over time, over years of consistently doing that, I was like, hey, this is actually like working maybe. And I got more comfortable with the idea and more in front of the camera and enjoyed it. But that is the best way that you should create content. For me, I do it based off like trends. I'll scroll. My whole day is when I scroll through social media. If I'm going to waste my time, I'm going to make it educational or beneficial to me. When I like a video, I'm like, oh, this is funny, or I want to remake it. Like it's a trend and I want to be a part of it. I will just like save it. And then there's like collections, and then I save it into categories. So like categories of like, oh, food I want to cook later, or trends I want to like remake or whatever. So I always hit like that thing. So for me, it's like, it is a little bit more planned. I wish I could be as like quick, and I need to, because that is the game. And that's why you have had consistent success, because of the consistency. I lack that, and I'm trying to apply that. But to the point that I'm trying to organize my week schedule. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. So we're doing like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3-hour block. Like I'm shooting something. Like it has to happen, because if you just, for some people like me, if you don't plan it, it doesn't happen. Because like, oh, like whatever comes and goes. If someone's like, hey, let's go get lunch together, or let's, go play some basketball, I'm quickly deviated if I don't have a plan. And so if you're going to achieve your dreams, you have to have a structure. You have to have a game plan. It's not going to magically happen. You're going to have to put in the work, but through the work over time, it will happen. So yeah, man, I got to do that.
Well, I'm a Virgo. I have to plan everything.
Yeah.
So-
I'm a Cancer, so everything is a mess for me. We're creative beings, but it's like everything is scattered around. That's just how I operate.
I'm a Capricorn. Don't know what that means, but
Somebody will tell you. But in terms of, and I think you mentioned earlier, people, the caption being closest to the comment. And I'm a comment section queen. You're not going to see me in the comments, but I'm in the comments. I'm laughing in the comments. How important is it for you guys to engage with your audiences in that way, whether it's in the comments or even, however else, real life? And is that a part of your strategy for keeping your content growing and your audience growing?
Definitely. I think the idea of comments is that if you comment back, that's going to keep them coming back, because they're like, oh, he commented on my comment. Let me comment on the next video, and let me tell my friends to comment, so maybe he'll comment too. And then there are some comments where I just be like, I'm not going to respond to that. That's crazy. But it's so important, because that builds that relationship with the audience that's watching your content, and that's going to keep them coming back. And also, again, that's the thing that starts the conversation. I always tell people, right after the caption is the conversation in the comments. And then people will engage. Sometimes people engage in a conversation that you're not even in, just seeing a comment that they can relate to. And then they're going to engage in that. And then sometimes I might go in there and comment. And then they'll be like, oh my God, I love you. I didn't think you were going to see my comment. And I'm like, I see all the comments. Okay. I'm watching all of y'all under here. Don't get it twisted. I might not respond every day, but I will. But it does keep that relationship going with the fan base and the audience. So it's very important to me, because like I said, I love to be authentic and love to be very humble. I don't want anybody to think that I'm big-headed or trying to be Hollywood or anything like that, or I'm too that to comment on the video. No, I'll respond to some comments. I can't respond to all of them. It's like a couple thousand. Okay, that's going to take me all day, but I will comment and, just let them know I see it. And that makes them really happy sometimes.
Yeah, I think commenting is definitely like really important. Obviously, there's going to be a video that you guys hopefully goes viral, and you got like 8,000 comments, and you're just like, "Oof!" There's just no way. It's a full that ends up being 2 weeks of just like there's limitations, but like we're all human. There's someone behind that comment. As much as you're able to set a time aside, or if you're like in the car going somewhere, instead of you scrolling, like actually being active on your platform, I think commenting is huge. It's like having a conversation. Again, these are people that are trying to connect, trying to have a conversation. A lot, like you said, a lot of posts, like the funniest moments will be in the comment section. Like I laugh my head off with watching the comments, And so I think, yes, commenting back is important. It's not the end all be all, but think about it this way. It's like, imagine if you commented on a celebrity's post and they commented back, you'd be like, he saw me. Like it creates that feeling, like, okay, we're not gonna be best friends, but like there's that, wow, like he actually cares and took the time to like have that conversation. I think it is a human experience to just acknowledge each other when you're able to, if it's not too ridiculous of like a comment section. But if you're able to, yeah, I think it definitely hits the fan base, and it keeps people like a part of the community.
All right, we're coming up on time, but I want to touch on something really important, which is money. So money, sponsorship, opportunities, brand deals. Just give us a quick overview of the realities of what that is, because I think a lot of people think, oh, well, this is going to make me famous and I'm going to get so much money. And that's not always the case, but sometimes it is. So how has that been for you?
It doesn't happen overnight. And I think also the thing is there's always a door, especially with me being a Black creator. There's always a door where I have to accept what they're offering me, but it can't be too low. And it sucks because you put all this work into it. You have these conversations with these brands, and you think that they love you and adore you, and then they offer you like $4,000 to $5,000, and then they see another creator who is not African American, and they offer them $20,000-$30,000. So sometimes it's like you gotta pick the low hanging fruit while you can. But we got so much time, John. I go into it. I don't mind going into it, but because it's real. It's very real. Like, these brands are great. Getting the brand deals are amazing, but the pay difference is so insane to me. And unfortunately, again, as Black creators, we just have to accept the low hanging fruit that we get. And then when you have that conversation with other creators, and they're like, "Oh, that same brand paid me $50,000," and I'm like, "Well, girl, they only paid me 10. How do you?" Okay, but I get it, because we not the same skin color. It's a beautiful thing. It pays the bills, but more. I like to get paid more in doing events like this, or like going out and hosting and getting to know people, because that's where the actual. Once you do that and you see people are willing to put more money into your pocket because they love you and support you, then that's when all the great things and the financial freedom happens. But don't harbor on those brand deals, child. I promise you.
Yeah. A little bit of a how you make money social media 101, because I'll talk to like family members or whatnot, and they'll be like, how do you make money off that? It's like views. And it's like some people don't even understand, and maybe you guys all do, but just in case, that it is mostly the money is coming through brand deals, right? So you can have ad sets on TikTok or YouTube. You can make money off of that. YouTube would be the highest pay, and I think they pay about like 50% of the AdSense money towards the creator. Again, I don't do YouTube. I should get on it. But when it comes to vertical, you don't really get paid much for like views. There is money. It's just not going to pay the bills. So it's where the brand deals come in, where you're talking to a specific brand like Nike, Disney, Mattel or whatnot, right? And so it's when a brand reaches out or manager makes it happen. And that's where the money's at. So when you wonder, like, how Zach King or Mr. Beast or anyone does it, when you see their videos and there's a product placement of like a Coca-Cola bottle, where like the whole idea is around the Coca-Cola bottle, or Mr. Beast is talking about Shopify, like that's where the money's coming from to pay for that video, and if not for more, right? So that is the case. And again, I remember the days when I was like offered like $400 and I was losing my mind. I'm like, what? I'm making money off this. This is crazy. It's a dream come true, right? And then it changes over time for sure. But again, the market changes too. Like, there was one time I got a really big deal and I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like, yay. And then never again did that ever happen. Nowhere even close. And I was like, okay, so we're back to just like trying to be consistent, make it happen. And yeah. It is a tough market. I've realized, even sometimes, even speaking right now, I'm just like, like, is it gonna? But you just have to believe. You have to be consistent and realize that really social media is the future. I know sometimes, like, again, people in this room could be thinking, I'm too late. It's already over. Like, they're just, I should have gotten on in 2018 on TikTok. No, we're still in the beginning years of internet, social media. Like, we have another 100, if not more, years to go. And what it's going to be then, you could be one of those top creators too. So please believe in yourself, give it a shot. There is money in there. You just have to, like, you got to want it. You got to create more than your fellow people. For me, I got to create more than my friends. And sometimes they embarrass me because I have more followers and I'm just not creating. And I'm just like, okay, we got to be on top of this. So yeah, again, it's a grind for sure, but you got to be a part of it. You got to love it. If you don't love it, don't do it.
All right. And so we're going to wrap up, but I would love to, 2 questions. Can we do 2? Yes. Okay. I was looking at 2. we have time for 2 questions from the audience, and I just saw one hand just shoot up first. So in the red there, sorry, I think there's a mic for you over there, perhaps.
Hi, I have a question for Nate and maybe for you too if you passed through it. You say you made content and then you say like 5 months without posting, and then like this probably like hurts your engagement. So how we do to like start like content from zero or like because maybe your audience don't remember you anymore. So how we do?
Yeah. So you're saying like I posted once, didn't post 5 months later. What's kind of the idea of like starting over again if you haven't been around for a while? Again, just start. Like really, the reason why, again, don't do what I did, right? It just worked for me. Again, I just really studied the internet. I should probably sell like a whole course on it, but I definitely like studied the internet, figured it out. And what happened was because I had a job in social media, that took all my time. So every like 4 or 5 months, there'd be a trend that wasn't a dance trend because the dance trend I just wasn't a part of. But it would not be that, and I'd be like, huh, actually, oh my gosh, I have like again, you just an epiphany. You guys like, oh, I have an idea. This is a thing. What if I did this? And I think it would do really well because I know that this is what people are liking and enjoying right now. And then I'd shoot it, I'd post it, make sure it was done within 2 days of the trend because again, by a week and a half, it's just not as exciting anymore. And then it would pop off. Now, that wasn't a consistent thing. Again, a video every 4 months is not going to make you a full-time creator, which it didn't because I still had a job and that was my focus. But over time, I was like, if I'm going to do this more consistently, I need to do it. So if any of you guys like, I posted content, then I stopped for a year, how do I start again? The simple answer is just got to stop. You can't overthink it. You can't think that my first video back is going to be this big hurrah or that people are going to, you just, like even me, I haven't done content, even me standing up here, I haven't done content for a good year. I mean, we did, not to get into it, but we did this, me and my co-director, we did the Doritos Super Bowl thing. It kind of, thank you. It changed our lives. Thank you, I appreciate it. But it was a lot. It was a lot to do, and that's a whole nother talking segment of how it didn't almost kill us, but it felt like that. I mean, we didn't get any sleep. It was like 2 hours of sleep every night, no joke, to campaign for 2 weeks to get people to vote for us. But life-changing stuff. But even after that, I haven't posted for a year, and I'm sitting here this week going, what do I do? What do I post to come back? And I said the same thing. It's like, bro, just start. Your first video is not going to pop off. It's going to be the 20th. Like, you just got to get into it because if this is what you love and want to make your full-time thing and not go back to 9 to 5, let's make this happen. And you get to create for a living. That's awesome. That's a privilege. Like, do it, So take the risk, make it happen. Don't overthink it. And it's probably not the first 5 videos that are going to go viral. It's probably after that. But at the same time, just like, don't get caught in that overthinking aspect. Just do it.
It must be nice to be able to take a break for a year because if I take a break for 2 days, my fans is putting out missing person alerts on me. Like, I can't do that.
I took on camera gigs. I was like, oh, let me just cam out for a while.
I was like, dang, I wish I could take a year off. That sounds lovely. It's definitely one of those things where I know, unfortunately, because of what I do, I really can't take very long breaks. So I'll typically like to, because I prioritize my mental health first. And I think a lot of creators don't do that, especially going into it, because we are so like astonished by the numbers and how far we can go. But definitely for me, I can't recommend a 5-month break because again, my phone is going to blow up and people are going to be like, where are you at? Post another video. So and I'm like, let me get this tripod up and this camera going. But definitely if you got to take that time off, they're not going to forget you. One thing about it, if your presence on social media is strong, you're unforgettable. No one's going to forget what you've done and what you've put on social media. Take that break if you need that break. Take a month if you need to. If you got to take 5 months, take 5 months. But once you come back and get back into gear mode, it'll be like you never left.
All right, we have one more question. I'm going to let Tony choose because you're the teacher.
Right here.
My question is
So when it comes to social media and starting to want to get paid and leveraging brand deals and things of that sort, at what follower count would you say that becomes more realistic where it could potentially pay your bills? And when would you want to reach out to create a team as far as having management and as far as having maybe editors or whatever it may be to get paid?
As soon as you get your first brand deal, because I wish I would have done that. because I didn't know. First of all, I don't know how to read no contract. I'm learning how to read contracts now. But in the very beginning, I was like, I don't know how to read no 5-page contract about what I need to do, how much money I'm getting paid. I'm just gonna sign it and hope that they pay me on time. But I definitely recommend, once you get that first brand deal, even it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 followers, 100 followers. If you feel like at that moment, I see the momentum and I need to curate a team that's going to believe in me and push me and be able to take care of the brand deals or take care of the editing or take care of booking these events, then do that, because it's very important to have a team that believes in you at the very beginning. Because once you get to that point where you're at like 10,000, 20,000, a million plus, then it's like, okay, we see the momentum, and then the brand deal numbers, of course, get higher. The contracts get longer. And you start to see that money come in more and more and more. So to me personally, it doesn't matter the number of followers you have. Always build a team first and then grow from there. Because I came into this thing, I was like, look, hey, I'm going to sign these contracts. And I didn't know what I was signing. And now I have a team that's like, okay, if this is like a 20-page contract, we're going to send it to the attorney. We're going to come back to it. And then we'll let you know if we can push more money or if they're going to stay on that number. So yeah, it doesn't matter what number followers you have. Just build that team first that believes in you and then grow with them.
Yeah. I feel like you asked like multiple questions, so I'm trying to tap into them. But at what following count do you start making money was kind of the question in a sense.
Or like building a yeah, like more so manage.
For sure. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just locking in management like this month. Like it took me so long because again, I'd hear different opinions. Like I'd hear people say the worst thing is to sign on because this and that. You want to stay free and non-exclusive. And I'd hear so many opinions, but I think it comes down to you as a creator, what works best for you, right? Like my best advice, in my mind, I go do it all yourself. Like edit, do this stuff, whatever, which again, I think at the start you need to, because no one's gonna push as hard as you for your own dreams. Like it's just not gonna happen. It's your dream, right? So you gotta learn how to edit on CapCut or on your desktop with Premiere Pro. You need to like get on with like doing sound effects. You need to get on like being with the trends, making things quick and simple and making it happen. You need to do it yourself. But again, I understand because now I'm bigger and I just really don't like editing. And I really do want to bring on an editor, but now I'm able to because I'm able to like bring in a brand deal. This pays the rent, this pays the food. How do I put this towards the content to keep pushing things? So again, it really depends on what you're good at and not. There's some people that don't like editing at all. And if they're able to get a friend that's down to edit for them from the get-go with like no pay off of just like collaboration, that's awesome too. But again, we have to work within our means. And so my means was I've got nothing, really. I have myself. And so I'm going to shoot this video that I see a trend, pop off my phone. I'm going to put into Adobe Premiere. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to put in these sound effects. I'm going to do it how I envisioned it. But again, I just had to do it all myself. And I think you can build a team, but not to push back, but I almost wonder how soon is too soon to build a team versus like not having the traction yet. So it's like, I feel like there's a time and place. Like if you're able to build like with your friends who are down to like, hey, I'll shoot it, you edit it, make it happen. Oh, by all means, like what an amazing like community you already have. But more than not, I realize that it just feels like it sometimes is a lonesome. Sometimes, again, if that's not your case, I'm jealous of you. Awesome. But sometimes it's lonesome because you have to do it yourself. It's the late night editings. It's you believing yourself. You've seen the vision that no one else does. And then when there's that traction and success, then I was able to build from there. So I do think once you get a brand deal or two, for sure, start locking in management. Definitely look over those contracts. Again, you don't need to get a lawyer. Just get a friend who's a lawyer or an attorney. That's what I got, luckily. So I was like, hey, let me check. I'm like, oh, you do that? Look at this. I'm like, oh, this is no bueno. Like, let me show you how it's done. So definitely do that so you don't get screwed over by contracts. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
And one thing I got to say before you go, and when you do seek out management, always check with your friends, check with other creators who have signed to these people and see, are they good? Is it worth it signing to this? Do you want to go into it exclusive or non-exclusive? Because a lot of these management agencies and these people who claim that they work with this person, that person, they can put you on, ain't put nobody on. And okay. And also they just want to be around you because they see that you're going to be a success. And they don't even, sometimes they themselves don't even know how to read a contract. So we both sitting looking at the contract, trying to figure out what does this mean? What's going on? So I definitely recommend making sure if you're going for management to know who this company is, see how they work, ask around. Have you worked with this? Have you heard of this agency? Are they good? Are they worth it? Do they pay you on time? It's very important because you can sign to some agencies and they'll put you on the shelf and you'll probably never see any money as long as you're in a contract with them. So it's definitely worth it to do the work, do the asking around, and make sure that management is going to be behind you and worth it, and know your worth as a creator.
And sorry, one last thing, because this applies. If you're looking at management as this is my answer, this is going to change everything, I hate to say it, but that's sadly not true. Yes, they'll have connections and they might help. And maybe there's that perfect management company that I don't know about that literally opened the door for one creator. Amazing. But 9 out of 10 times you're going to have to put in that work. I mean, I've seen creators where they're bringing more brand deals to their management because of what they've created, right? And so you have to, if you're looking at management as, I don't want people to look at management as a crutch. It is definitely a help. But at the end of the day, you're still the director. You're still the content creator. You're still the person that's pushing out that content. Again, no one's going to believe in the content more than you. No one's going to push it out. So if you're sitting here being like, oh man, if only I had management, that isn't the case. It's, I have everything I need. I just need to go out and make it happen.
Right. Thank you guys so much. We have learned quite a bit today. I wanted you guys give it another big round of applause.
Thank you very much.
For Nate and Tony. Of course, find them on social media, give them a follow. I don't know if y'all will be here afterwards to mingle, but if you see them and you want to grab them, I'm offering you guys up. But thank you so much for tuning into this panel and for being here with us today. We'll see you in the next panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.